everybody, it's Annette Green here with Elizabeth Craft Designs, and I want to make a little mini album instead of a planner spread today, but I want to use some planner dies to do that. So I am pulling out just 3. I'm trying to limit myself to these 3, and so I've decided I'm going to try using Sidekick Essentials 1, Sidekick Essentials 12, the scallop insert, which looks like that. And then this one that's loaded with stuff, Sidekick Essentials 16, the seed packet set, which also has those pieces as well. So I've tried to keep it down to those 3. I am going to try to incorporate some stamp sets. If I use them, I will talk about them in the assembly so that you know what I've used. But I've kind of pulled Planted with Love, Home and Nature, In My Garden, and Paper Love. I will definitely list everything that I do end up using in the description below. So let's take a quick look at this pretty little album, all completed. I'm going to take you through how it's made, but here is a look. There is stamping, there's pretty clips, there's die cuts, cut aparts, chipboard, layering of all kinds. Lots and lots of fun to make. Very pretty album. So easy. I already want to use different papers and make another one. It was so easy. The most time that it took to make it is to decorate it, honestly. So there we go. Okay, so let's talk about supplies. Other than what I've already mentioned with the dies and possibly some stamp sets, just gather your favorite bits of paper. So I'm going to use some graphic 45 paper to cut some of these seed packets. I am also mixing in some 49 and Market for some of it. And also using some patterns and solids from graphic 45. So you'll need just your favorite papers. And then you will want to have some chipboard. And these are just about 1 inch, 3 book rings. Any color. I happen to have ivory. That's what's going to work for me. And you will see me in my album. I'm going to be using some graphic 45 like journaling cards like this. I will tell you when we get there if there's an alternative and the size and everything that you can use if you don't have access to those. Okay, prep work that you'll want to do. And keep in mind when you're choosing your paper that when you have a die that has score lines in it, such as the seed packet die here, you have to be careful how thick your paper is. So that is why I'm using graphic 45. It's a nice weight. It's not super thin, but it's not really, really thick. 49 and Market, on the other hand, which is what I made some of these out of, I think at least 100 pound, I'm not sure. So a little bit too thick. The paper will crack when you try to fold it on the score lines. So just keep that in mind. So you will want to pick 3 of your favorite papers and cut 3 seed packets. I haven't assembled these yet, just so you can kind of see, but I do have them kind of folded and ready to go. This little window is here. We're going to do something with that. And then you'll want to cut a coordinating frame, also from the seed packet set, to go in your little window here. So I've done that for each one. So to go with those, you will want to pick a compatible, maybe a little bit thicker cardstock. And you're going to, this is also in the seed packet set, you're going to cut 3. Now you can cut 3 different ones if you want. I am using this, and it's really just to have these 3 holes and make this a little bit of an extension to your seed packets. So we are going to cut these, but for now just get them ready to go, and they're going to kind of tuck in there like that. Okay, so you need 3 of those. And then you will want to, we'll get to these in a minute. Of course you can make more pages, but I'm just doing 3 of each style of page for now, just to kind of show you how easy this little album is to make. So from Sidekick Essentials 1, you have these photo frames, and as you can see, there's also word options that you can pick, and there's several to pick from. I picked Love This, and so I die cut that together. This is the 49 and Market because it's nice and thick. This is the inner part to the seed packet die that popped out when I die cut it. So I'm saving that to put behind the word this, and I'm going to have to trim it, of course, because it's hanging past. And then I have one of those journaling cards, but you could use a 3 by 4 inch piece of your favorite paper back here. I'm planning to have it peek through like that. So it's really pretty on that side for journaling. And then you have your pretty journaling card on this side. So I've done that 3 different ways. This one says noted, and it's like a light green with this little journaling card that's going on the back. And then this one I die cut today, this purple pattern paper on the back, and then this journaling card. So that's going to go like that. Now to join all those, you'll need to cut 3 compatible colored pieces just like you did before. I'm going to change the color this time. They could all be the same, totally up to you. So I did this nice pink color. And using the main large page die from Sidekick Essentials 1, you'll need to cut 3 from your favorite paper. Now, you're actually going to cut 2 using the die, and then we're going to cut 1 more and kind of finagle it a little bit. And so here's what I mean. The first one, I picked this, where the tab's at the top. Same die, I just cut it from the back side so I can have the tab at the bottom. And then we want a tab at the middle. So what I did is I just cut myself a template out of black, and I'll give you the measure. And just so you understand what's happening here, we're actually going to cut these. So let's just go ahead and do that now. You're going to cut 2 inches off the bottom. So now this measures 4 3/4 tall. And we're not going to worry about the holes or anything right now. We're just going to have it just like that. And then this one we will do the same. Let's flip it so it's squared up at the top. Cut 2 inches off the bottom. Okay, this one will be down here. Save my little scraps for something else. And then this one, I just found, a different place in the paper, so they weren't all identical. And this one is pre-cut 4 and almost an 1/8, so 4 1/16. I know it's a weird measure, by that 4 3/4 tall. All right. Now the reason why we cut this one 4 1/16 is because that's really what this measures from here to here. Okay, so what I'm doing here is I'm going to take my little template and I'm going to eyeball it or measure right in the center. And I've already got my pencil line there, but you may not see it. And we're just going to trace around that tab, okay? And then, whoops, that's straight line. And then I just kind of use my template as a ruler to make the rest of that line, okay? And so now all we have to do, you can do this with a trimmer. I'm just going to do with the scissors. Take off my pencil lines there, and let's just check it and make sure everybody's measures the same height. And just to reinforce these pages, to make them a little bit stronger and thicker, I went ahead and I die cut the same out of different paper. I didn't have enough of this one, that's why. So I'm just going to glue these together, and I did that with all 3 of these. Okay, and then also you may notice we have these holes, and we don't want the page holes that are there from the die. So we are eventually going to put a little paper strip around here and then re-punch the holes. We are not going to be using this little guy this time. We're actually going to punch 3 new holes in the same positioning as these 3. So we'll put that aside for now and we'll work on our cover. Okay, so to build my covers, I have 2 pieces of chipboard cut 4 1/2 by 5 each. I've punched the holes, centered, and now I'm going to wrap paper around these to make them pretty, and I've picked this pattern paper from Graphic 45 for that. So I'm just going to float that right in the middle and then wrap this all around. So I've taken some sheets of double-sided adhesive already cut to the same size as the chipboard, and this is how I'm gonna adhere it to the paper. You can use any adhesive you like. I just happen to like the full coverage of these sheets. You just have to make sure that you burnish it down really good, really well, I should say. Okay, I've peeled all that up and it's fully covered. And you just take another second to make sure your paper direction is proper, because there are words on this paper. And this is the back cover I'm working on first. So I'm just putting that in the center and kind of burnish that really well. And then I'll do the same on this one. Now, just to jump ahead though, we're going to take some of the 3/8 inch score tape. I'm sorry, it's double-sided adhesive tape. And we're going to put it all around these edges. And I'm going way out to the edge of the paper. It doesn't need to be in there close. And then we're going to wrap this around. But before we do, I'm going to make sure that I punch these holes before I cover them up. But I can get the tape on here now. Just before I fold it in, I want to repunch those holes, otherwise we will lose the position if we cover it up now. Okay, so get this all burnished well, and I'll show you my little tool that I cut away those corners. Before I forget to mention the size of this paper that you're going to wrap around, it is 5.5 by 6, so it's just a 1/2 inch all the way around extra to fold in. Now my little tool, my corner tool. So I've got this little corner tool that I've had for a while. It says the Scrapbook Store and More, which is where it originally started from, but my friend Christine sells them now, I think, I'll make sure, through her retreat house. So I will check with her, see if she still carries them, and then I will put a link to this tool in the description of this video. It's just really nice for taking away those corners, because you're squaring it up to your chipboard, and it gives you that little bit of space that you need so you don't have a gap of chipboard showing between when you fold these over. Alrighty, I have punched my holes again just to make sure. I'm going to take my pointy bone folder tip here. You could do this with a scoring stylus. I'm just going to go around right next to that chipboard and give that a little help. Do that on both of these. Alright, and I like to start top and bottom. Doesn't really matter. And I use this bone folder with the flat edge to kind of first get it nice and squared up that way, and then I bring it on down and burnish it this way. Okay. That I have both of those done. We don't need to punch through here yet. We know we have that to go by. So I always like to take another piece of that decorative paper to finish this off in here. And this paper is a little bit smaller than the chipboard, so it's 4 1/4 by almost 4 3/4. Additional strip just to make it all the way. So this is my inside back cover, and this really makes it finished, but it also seals off those folded over paper edges so they're not going to pop up on you. This holds everything down. So I'll do that over here, and then I will repunch my holes, and I'll be right back. Covers are done. I did add some hole reinforcers here, and I'm probably going to put some here once I get to decorating. So I did that to the front and the back cover. Alright, now we are moving on to these. So first we are going to get our little colored paper behind the word. Okay, and then to get that little hinge in there with the 3/4 or the 3 holes, because we want to have this sandwiched in between here, we need to trim this down. Otherwise these little cute ragged edges would show. So I am going to trim it down so that I have only 3/4 of an inch piece. And you can save this for later for something decorative if you like. Okay, and I've already done 2, just so you can see what we're doing here. Okay. Want to make sure that the edge, yeah, so the edge of my piece should be right to the inside of that frame before I commit. So it's really about 1/2 of an inch of space, top and bottom. If I line these up, are they good? Pretty darn good now. And then on this side, we want the journaling part to show through, and this will be the back. So and finally, we have our little seed packet pages. And of course, we have this open hole here. So you just have to decide, are you going to put something in there? And if so, do you want to seal it off? And so I have selected just some basic office supply style vellum, just a sheet of 8.5 by 11. And I cut a piece 3 inches long by 2 inches high. I'm using the very skinny, like 1/8 inch wide double-sided adhesive tape, and I put it all the way out to the edges, which is important because you don't want to have anything that you put into this pocket slide underneath that vellum and escape out through that hole. So if you get that adhesive out to the edges, that solves that. Okay, and before we can seal this closed, we have to put our little extender on. And this time, instead of cutting these to 3/4 of an inch, I cut them 7/8. Now that's just for me to keep things easy to adhere this to this 1/4 inch flap. So I'm going to put the adhesive on my tab rather than on the envelope because I only want glue right here for a minute. So about 1/4 of an inch in, and then I'm going to eyeball center. And before I commit, I'm going to grab one that I already did just to make sure it's pretty close. Looks good. And the main thing is I'm using the edge, the inner edge of the seed packet die to line up my little tab here. So this is what we'll see from the front, which is great. Check it for straightness and extra glue. Looks good. All right, and then we can seal up the rest of the envelope here. Another decision that you'll have to make now is, do you want to have some kind of closure instead of these just kind of flapping open like this? There's a number of things you can do. Magnets, those little flat magnets, or little adhesive Velcro dots would be good. You could put a clip on here. I think I might put a clip. All right, now we're going to go back to our tab pages, and remember how we still have these holes here we need to take care of, and I talked about a strip of paper going over them, so that's exactly what I'm going to do now. The measure on these strips of paper, 1 inch this way and 4 3/4 tall, and then I just put it in my scoreboard and I score it right down the middle at 1/2 of an inch. So I will adhere those onto here. Now what I have done ahead of time, just to make sure everything coordinates, is I've decided which of the next page is going to be next to this to sort of coordinate those colors. So that's that same pink stripe that you see here, and then maybe our next page will be one of these guys. Okay. Okay, so once I was going to put my album together, I thought that it looked a little bit thin. So I did add one more page style. So we've got our tab page, we've got our seed page, and then I added this. So this is obviously from that scalloped insert Sidekick Essentials 12 that I showed you early on. And all I did is trim an inch off of the top and the bottom of that page, and then to cover up all the holes that were there, I did the same treatment where I folded over that same strip of paper. So it's 4 3/4 tall by 1 inch, scored down the middle, folded across, and then I just lined up the 3 holes with an existing page so that it's kind of centered here, and repunch those holes. Okay, so this is how it's looking so far. Seed page, scallop page. You can have so much fun with this. Little note page, and then your last tab page, your last seed page, your last scallop, and your last note or photo page, journaling page. Okay, so now it seems like it's a nice thickness, and I can put my rings in there. And so basically now you have the basic assembly of the album, and that's all you need to know to build more albums with different paper using those same dies. If you want to stick around, I am now going to decorate it. I'm not going to talk through any of it. I'm just going to speed decorate through it and speed it. is now complete. I mean, I really want to keep going and do more things, but I think I'm pretty happy with it for now. And looking forward to what you all think of it. If you will give it a try, please let me know. I hope that you enjoyed it. Thank you for sticking with me to the end if you did so. I do appreciate you always. And I look forward to the next video and seeing you again. So take care, and thanks again for watching.